still Carlos, and I want to show you the fastest way to do customer development, which is trade shows. In the last week, I've been to a trade show with my startup Relodeck. It's called the Euro conference in Edinburgh. We are still here in Edinburgh. I'm in the beautiful co-working space, the Tech Cube. And what we have found out was that, of course, selling is important for the trade show, but also that there's a crucial component, which is customer development. Of course, customer development has to start way before any product gets shipped or any product gets sold, even. Still, it's an ongoing process, and you have to always check if the customers are still getting what they want and what they really want, if they want something else, if their requirements changed over time. So on the trade show, we did customer development, and I want to show you the results we got from it. So please look at this presentation. First, I want to walk you through what I will say here in these slides. Basically, I will give you an overview of what we did, how our booth looked like, what we did to prepare, and then how we use consultative selling to do the customer development and to build trust. And also what you should focus on when you are going to your next trade show. All these slides are, of course, here on SlideShare, but also on my blog and on YouTube. So click on this link and you will get directly to the blog, and feel free to leave a comment. I'm really happy if I get any response, that we can have a conversation there and talk about how to get to your best conference. So let's start. That was our booth. We had 3 roll-ups, 3 banners. There was Rege, who helped us to sell. And other booths on the left looked like this, so a bit more crowded, and on the right, a bit less crowded. It was interesting because we had more traction on our booth because we stood more open and we were more approachable. I'll come to that later. So to get to the points that we did to ensure a successful trade show, and this is exactly as the blog post is structured, so feel free to check it out. So first point was super important: know your strategy beforehand. That means we made up our minds what we wanted to achieve and how we wanted to achieve that. So a strategy has to answer these questions. Who in the team does what? Meaning, who is actually responsible for what position and when? How do you do the selling? So train that before. What do you show in terms of demo, in terms of material? And what questions do you answer and how would you answer them? And also, what do you give out? For example, do you have material that you hand out? Do you follow up with an email? That has to be clear up front. Our strategy was, of course, we had a goal in making a certain number of sales, but we also wanted to learn everything that our users really would need. So we decided to show the front, which is the most important part of our software, an iOS software. We wanted to get as many prospects into a list, but also have a structure. We wanted to have a segmented list that we know who are they, how much are they willing to pay, what problems do they have, how much time would they spend with the software, and so on. And we wanted to position ourselves as the app, because there was no other app on the trade show, so we wanted to be known as the app guys. To the prospects, we prepared it in the following way. We had a sheet called the P form, the prospect form, and we wrote down everything the customers said, everything they mentioned, everything we needed to answer that we could not yet, for example, and how many employees do they have, and how would they use the software. So basically everything we knew or we noticed was sketched down, but in a structured format. The preparation was crucial, but not only this prospect form, but also the discussions before. So how do you work? When you're going to a trade show, you need to know what parts of the software are you showing, and need to have a plan of who says what. For example, when you have 2 team members talking with one prospect, who is going to say what, who is showing the software, who is supporting the other, and of course a time structure, a schedule that is set, who is going to show up and when. If someone is late and the other person is already is swamped with customers or with future customers, then it's hard to do the actual work. So you really need to know when you're on the spot, when you meet up, and who's gonna take what shift. So how we worked was we knew exactly the people who would attend. So we had a list of all attendees. We aggregated that from a PDF. We prepared the papers and the conversation. So you saw the P form, but also we had slides to show for the pricing structure. We showed the features, and we knew that these features would work. So we made a plan of what we would show. And of course, we had our developers online accessible, meaning when we had questions, we could have them answered straight away. And we were prepared for difficult questions. For example, why is this so cheap? Or why is this so expensive? These questions could reveal the flaws of your business model, of your software, if you cannot answer them in a snap like this. So really prepare for that. This is sales 101. You have to know these things when you sell your software or your services. But it's good to prepare them. And when I started preparing for them, talking with my co-founder, it was really hard for me to wrap my head around it. But there are always good reasons that you can use to explain why it's so cheap or why it's so expensive. Yeah, and also other questions. How long will you provide me with a solution? You have to say for the next 20 years or forever or as long as you have the problem. Those things are important, and not I want to make an exit in the next 2 weeks or 2 years. Our sales tactics were consultative selling, meaning we solve problems and ask questions. And that's actually customer development. So we ask questions like, what's your biggest problem? We ask open questions. How long have you been dealing with it? When did it first occur? What are your customers saying when they see that you run into that problem? What are your employees saying? How have you dealt with it before? How much money have you spent on that problem? All these things are really super important, because you will learn if people are really willing to pay for it and if they're paying for individual features. So for us, we had the customer development. We already had customers. Still, we wanted to know more. And these questions helped us with it. And then when these questions came up and when we talked about that, then we did consultative selling, meaning we specifically answered their questions and helped them on their way, even if it's just a short, tiny problem, unrelated to our software. We try to help them in a way. For example, marketing or social media. You can always tell them something about that and give some advice, and that always helps and helps you build trust and also get authority. What happened at that conference was that there was a Brazilian lady coming with another person who wouldn't have heard of that software, and dragged her to our booth saying, these are good people, they help you with your problem. And that was actually a great thing, because we did consultative selling for her before. Yeah, of course, this is a thing that is important that many people overlook. As you see the gentleman on the left side, always stand open and approachable, meaning you have to sit upright, you have to have a gesture that is open, and stand in front of your booth and don't sit behind it. If you're exhausted, you need a team member who helps you switch position, who helps you take a break. Apart from that, don't go in the corner and read your book or whatever it is you're doing that would distract you from the sales process. Stand open and show people that you are there for their service. And that also all comes down to a focus on relationships. A friend of mine, String Nikolic, he said, you have to focus on relationships, because you will sell the software or your product even after the after the conference. And that was exactly what happened. We had great sales conversations. We had good input from them. We have enough prospects that we now can go for and convert them to customers. But that had to happen. It's about the relationship that you build. It's not about the direct sale and then hit and run. It's not how it's going to work. You need to build relationships. And the conference is great for that because you're actually directly with the prospects face to face. Our company is location independent. I'm location independent, so it's actually really good for me to have that the touch base with the prospects, and that only has to appear once or twice, and then everything else can go through email or Google Hangouts or Skype. But this first touch base face to face is super important. This is what we had here. This is the quote of String. Thank you for it, String. That was great inspiration. So the results, what you see here is our folder of the P forms. There were more than 60 P forms that we filled out. So we had more than 60 prospects who actually are really interested in the software and who we can follow up with. This is the result we got. We are blown away by the feedback. We are blown away by the position that we could enter here in the market. And we are really looking forward on pursuing now and making the product really great for our customers. For your next trade show, I give you this trade show checklist. Go through it and see what if you have everything for your next trade show. And of course, we have the blog post where you can see all this in writing. You can subscribe to my newsletter and get the updates that I don't push on the blog. So there are things that I just don't want to reveal on my blog. So hook onto the newsletter, and I'm delivering you good stuff every week. Thanks so much. If you have any question, email me or follow me and put comments into the YouTube video or on my blog. I'm really happy to answer any question you have. Thank you.